Right.
Welcome to Figure Out Your Life podcast, the podcast where we try to figure out those answers to life's everyday question. I'm your host, Toya T, aka Toya T with the PhD, aka Dr. T, aka Professor T, aka your girl from Beantown, aka Caribbean American gal, and happy American Caribbean American Heritage Month to all my Caribbean American gals and guys. Let me stop playing around. We are back here for another episode, and I'm happy to be back, and I'm happy that people are listening. I was kind of afraid that a 5-year hiatus would have meant that I would have no one listening to my stuff. And I know some of the part of why I took so long to get back to my podcast was not only the burnout experience that I was having and all the life transitions, but also just not feeling like I was seeing real responses to my podcast, and not like the ones people who had been reaching out to me when I was really fully in it a couple years ago. I'm not talking about y'all. I'm talking about like the amount of money and time it takes me to produce this podcast. I didn't really see like it in the numbers. And I really saw it when I took a break because the last episode, which was episode 60, the last episode before I took the hiatus, which was the how to cope with burnout, that one has like probably the most downloads of all of my episodes. And it was the one that was pretty much, I think, keeping my podcast continuing to track wherever it's tracking. People were listening. And that is why I have been very conscious about making sure that this is how I start back up with the restart of this podcast, staying in that vein and trying to make sure everything is related. So we're all kind of going through the natural stages of things. Episode 60 was how to cope with burnout, like getting ready for it, how to try to stop it. And the one that I came back with, which was episode 61, was on about the recovery. What do you do after you recover? And I thought naturally in this series of podcast episodes, maybe the next thing I should do is about how to pivot and about reinvention and how to move forward in these new life transitions as I'm doing right now. But something in the universe told me that I needed to take a step back and stop and have a discussion about rest, because rest is one of the connecting lines among all three of the episodes that, if you're listening to this in a series from 60 to 61 to this episode, I wanted it to make sense and to culminate with something that I think is the most important part of the burnout recovery experience and process is the ability to stop and rest and reset. And I feel like when we start talking about rest, especially in this country, and I'm speaking to those who live in America, but I mean, in general, the world I think is very much capitalistic. So in a world that is very much based off of capitalistic ideals of you have to work 40 hours a week or whatever, 37.5 for me, but 37.5 to 40 hours a week or more to be productive and not to be seen as lazy and to earn your keep and your right to have a house over your head and clothes on your back and food in your belly, which is absolutely not the point of life in a capitalist society. That is what we are taught. And it's even ingrained in our education system, which prepares our young people to become productive citizens and workers once they get out of school. But I think in that space, we put out very contradictory messages about the idea of rest. Because if you think about when you were in kindergarten, what is one of the things that you got to do that you didn't get to do when you were in the first grade? If you said nap, then that is the answer. I know that everyone misses naps. I mean, I see my little 4-year-old bestie and she just runs around all over the place, but I will never try to hang out with that child before she takes her afternoon nap, because before that, I don't know what she's going off of. She's kind of cool. It's like maybe going off of her night's rest. But when she starts getting towards the afternoon, when she needs to take that nap, ooh, child, the energy burning down means the energy for being nice to Auntie Toya completely goes down. I've seen that child snap at me and she's ready to have a tantrum. But after the nap, wonders, right? And the whole point of that is because we know that young children burn a lot of energy just absorbing everything around them, trying to learn, trying to walk, trying to learn how to talk and touching everything and just exploring that their bodies burn up a lot of energy and they need to rest because they're growing. Even their bodies itself, the physical body, is expending out a lot of energy because it is growing bones and teeth and hair and making them go taller and all these other things, making their brains develop. And so they need that rest, but somehow we start to move away from the idea of rest being necessary. At least I can say for the Western hemisphere in this country, America in particular, because I can't speak for Scandinavian countries because I know that they allow afternoon naps, and in other countries, like having hour-long breaks to go home in order to have some kind of rest is a part of how society incorporates that balance of life and rest and the human element into the work part of the life, but not here in America. Here, we have people that are telling you you can rest when you're dead. Like how many bumper stickers and t-shirts and people who have done TED Talks about you can rest when you're dead. And it's usually people who have made a lot of money. And at that point, I'm like, there's no way that you are working and doing all these things that produces the money that you have because somebody else is doing all the other work that is required. So that's why you say that rest is for the weak and for the unproductive, but it is not. Rest is a necessity. It is a part of what we need. But again, as I was saying about the way we kind of socialize and put out a message about rest, once we get past the age of 5 or 6, after that, it's seen as being lazy to sleep. But it really is a part of recovery for your mind, your body, and your spirit. I mean, think about when you get sick. What is it that the doctors suggest first? That you rest. You drink fluids and you rest. If you end up in the hospital, the one thing you end up doing a lot of is rest if you can, right? And so I want to really talk about the importance of rest because I know that I could not be where I am right now talking to you and creating content and also being ready for all of the things that I think the summer is going to bring, hopefully, because I'm looking forward to having an outside summer and to explore as much as I can using public transportation because the gas prices are high. And I do live in a city and I'm about to start really taking advantage of it on the weekends by using the commuter rail and the ferry and finding ways to park and take those things so I don't end up burning as much gas and spending more time outside because that's what I want to do. And I know it would be good for me because in the burnout, in that hiatus, when I stopped recording and really just from May of 2022, which is when I really burnt out, I gained 30 pounds. Okay. 30 pounds of fat, not muscle, fat. And it was a thing. My mom had lots of things to say, like moms do, about when they see their daughters gaining a couple of pounds. And I, of course, got defensive because that's what daughters do when their mothers start talking about, oh, you look cute if you only just got rid of that belly. And it's like, girl, how many years did you have that belly? But let's not talk about that because apparently that was my fault. She had children. She had me and my brother, and we gave her a belly, but whatever. But not only just hearing it from my mom, my dad never. So he'd tell me I look like a beauty queen even when I'm super fit and very lean and to the point when I feel like I was about to bust out my skin because that's how it felt like when I gained 30 pounds. And it was okay for me for a while because it really didn't show up in my lab, like my blood work and my cholesterol and stuff. I was at the border, but most recently, I think I mentioned this, like my doctor said, hey, your blood pressure is high, your cholesterol is at the border. We having to give you medication and you need to get all these things down. And she also talks about my weight too. And once your doctor says it, I was like, okay, I can't go back and forth with her because I come to her for her expertise. And so hearing my doctor say it is obviously a lot different than hearing my mother say it, even if it's the same message. But I know from that I wouldn't be able to be where I am right now, being able to lose the 30 pounds. So like that's the big hurrah here is that I've actually lost the 30 pounds and I've been working really hard since January. Swimming and running and doing strength training with a trainer and doing more walks and trying to be a lot more active. Most recently, I went rollerblading and trying to incorporate that into my summer routine, even though I fell on my behind and it hurt. And shout out to the older woman older white women, because I want to point that out, because I love that even with some of the ideas about what people think about Boston and Massachusetts and even the North Shore, that I am encountering, I know personally I haven't had those extreme experiences with people with racist ideology. So it was great that this lady gave me a helping hand when I fell on my behind and she said, "Are you okay?" And then she gave me a thumbs up like, "Go ahead, girl. Like, I'm impressed that you are even trying, and let me give you a hand up." So shout out to her as I bust my behind in front of everybody on the Revere Beach on the Parkway. But I know I wouldn't be able to be where I am right now without the rest. And I know the rest is very much connected to the health because the more I work out, and I know this from when I used to work out a lot more before I burnt out and before I had gained all this weight. I used to sleep a lot better. I used to go to bed earlier and I used to wake up earlier. I used to be the first one up, just up with the sun, especially when it was nice, and go out and be out early and be more active. And now I'm noticing now I'm also getting tired earlier, going to bed. And when I wake up, I'm rested. It's not like groggy, like the way I was feeling a few months ago, where when my alarm would go off, I'd be like, my body wasn't awake. And now it's like, okay, you're awake. What's open? Can we go to the gym? What can we do? But rest is very much an important part of it. And obviously, the body shows you that rest is necessary and that we need it in all parts of our lives in order to be able to do the things that we want to do. You cannot really be at your best without rest. Ooh. Look at me dropping some lines here. That should be a t-shirt. And if I see somebody with that t-shirt before I do it, that was on me for leaving this in the episode. Anyway, but so for in this episode, what we're going to be talking about, what we're going to be doing is figuring out how to pour back into ourselves and doing that through rest. And so I'm going to go over 7 different types of rest and how we can use these 7 different types of rest to pour back into ourselves. And I'll give some tips and strategies of how I have found how to pour back into myself using these different types of rest techniques. So the first type of rest, which I think is the most obvious, is physical rest. This is the rest that supports your body in recovering from physical strain, tension, fatigue, sickness. I think this is the one that most people identify when you say the word rest with. Your body, you need to sleep. You need to lay down, take a break, take a breather, sit somewhere, sit in the grass and lie down, right? And for me, in terms of how best to get physical rest is, of course, one, sleeping, but napping. And again, when you're ages 0 to 5 or 6, everyone expects you and encourages you to take a nap, right? You want that toddler to take a nap. You want that 4-year-old to take a nap. You want that 5-year-old in the kindergarten class to take a nap because they need it, right? They might even have half days because of the need of them to go and rest. And so I am giving you the permission here to bring back naps. In some countries, you can nap. I remember reading something saying that they have a practice of making sure that workers are able to take naps during the day. I think they have little cubbies in certain places. I think in some Asian countries they have that too. I don't remember which ones, but it's not a novel idea for people to be able to take an afternoon nap because it's the best way to replenish. Because what do you do in the afternoon time? Eat, right? And what happens after you eat, depending on how heavy the meal is? You feel tired and you might have to rest. For some of us, we might have the itis, but we think it's only connected to us, but it's not. Every single person feels tired after they eat a large meal or any kind of meal. And that's why medical experts would suggest that you take a walk for 1 or 2 minutes or be active after you eat a meal so that you kind of rev up your metabolism and you kind of get yourself some energy so you don't fall into that kind of malaise of like, okay, I'm ready to take a nap. But it's also your body signaling after you do this, you should rest. Like there should be some rest. And so I suggest taking as many naps as you can if you can. I understand that maybe not during the week, but maybe on the weekends, try taking a nice little afternoon nap if you can. It will do wonders for you. Also, consider doing gentle stretching or yoga, something that allows the body to loosen. I really want to get more into stretching and making stretching a routine. And that's on my list for this summer to start adding in maybe 10 minutes of stretching every morning or maybe at night. or taking a yoga class, because as much as I say this, I've taken a few yoga classes, but I can never be consistent for some reason. It just doesn't do it for me. But maybe I just haven't found the right class, or maybe I just need to figure out how to do it at home, because I think I would probably stick to it more if that was the case. But also walking without any kind of destination. So just going outside and just meandering, walking on every side street, just following a path, just allowing your brain to just not think about where you're going, just let your limbs be free, but allowing your body to be free and just walking. Also, another idea of how to incorporate more physical rest is drinking water. Drink your water and mind your business. Yeah, and breathe. Drink your water, mind your business, and breathe. Breathe deeply, in through the nose, out through the mouth, like I just did. And giving yourself a time to just let everything just be hydrated, be rested, take a nice little pause before you do something next. For those who don't like to drink water, because I know there are some, get a fun water bottle. I just got one that has been getting lots and lots of compliments. I didn't get it for the compliments. I got it because I love the artist that is on the water bottle. So I have this water bottle that says, "It is a beautiful day to be a Black woman," right? And it has art from my favorite artist, Pink Lomaine. And that's the reason why I bought it, because anything she puts out, my brain completely shuts off and my wallet automatically opens. Debit card, credit card, cash, whatever. I'm like, I'm buying. Yes, right. But particularly for this water, I really was looking for a water bottle that fits in my car console, because I had a water bottle, but the problem was it didn't fit in it. So I'd have to put it on my passenger seat. And I didn't like that. And so I was looking for something kind of like those Stanley cups, but maybe I was getting those Stanley cups. Like, I was not interested. I'm like, okay, this is a trend. I don't know why y'all want to get all different kind of colors. I understand, like, y'all never had thermals before. Like, do you know how many free thermals I have gotten from organizations I've been a part of or schools I've gone to? I got a whole bunch with names on them. So what is so special about this? And I do know that Stanley, for truckers, it had like a long history of being a really great cup that they can put coffee in and water in and all this other stuff. But for everyone else during the pandemic that started picking those up, I didn't get it. But this is shaped kind of like a Stanley cup, so it has a handle. So I get the handle part. It's great, very useful. But it's a beautiful cup. And even today, when I went to the pool, this older white woman who was getting ready to go in the pool, and I just came out, she looked at my water bottle and was reading it. She read it out loud, and she was like, "It is a beautiful day to be," and then she's like, "Oh, Black woman." And she said, "Oh, I love this. She was talking about the instructor for her class. She's like, "She's a Black woman." Yes, yes, she is. I love that it resonated for her. Like, "Oh, that is so great." She said, "Where did you get that?" Not just, "I like that," but "Where did you get that?" And she kept asking because she wanted to be able to buy that as a gift, either for the instructor or any of her Black woman friends that she may have. And so I want to shout out to Cecilia's, because I actually told the lady the wrong thing. I kept saying Celia's, but it's Cecilia's House. That's who makes the actual mug. And it's her phrasing of "it is a beautiful day to be a Black woman." And the art on it that I have is the one with the Pink Lomaine collection. They're not paying me for this, but I just love Pink Lomaine so much. A lot of people have been asking me where I've gotten my water bottle. And if you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen me with that water bottle hula hooping, because it's so easy to hold it while hula hooping. And so I highly suggest, if you want to drink water, mind your business, and rest, definitely go look for a fun water bottle, and definitely check out the one at Cecilia's House. So let's talk about the second type of rest. The second type of rest is mental rest. That's the rest that quiets the racing thoughts, the constant decisions, and the information overload. So you know what it means when you're at work and you're saying that you're tired. I think this is the part that I tend to use the word tired too much, and words mean things. And I really mean to say I'm overwhelmed, or my brain is overstimulated, or I have reached the capacity of what my brain can process right now. Because usually when I'm saying I'm tired, and this is a mistake that I say with my mom, she's like, "Oh, how are you tired? You're only in your 40s." And I'm like, it's not a physical thing. I'm not saying that I am run down. Trust me, lady. I can run me a good 13-minute mile right now. Okay. So we're not talking about needing rest. I'm talking about being overwhelmed because I have a very burdensome job. I have a job that has a lot of responsibilities and a lot of things that are unpredictable, because I work for the state and I work in education, and I actually care about the students that I serve and the things that I do and putting out good products that represent me, not even products, but service and programs that I myself would loved to have experience and get joy from seeing students getting to experience these new learning opportunities. And so because of that, and because there's so many aspects of my job, and I represent 71 schools in central Massachusetts. I'm gonna keep saying it because it's a lot. And this month is about bigging up and pouring into myself. So I'm gonna big up myself. I have a portfolio of 71 schools if you're looking for educational specialists. Plugging myself there. But usually it's mental rest I need. I am overwhelmed. My brain is tired. And so some tips for dealing with mental exhaustion, mental tiredness. To get that mental rest, I suggest journaling to clear your thoughts or just doodling. Journaling, doodling, writing things. For me, I know some people would say, why you do this? But social media for me as a millennial, an older millennial, is the thing that I use as my now journaling. I used to journal as a child. As soon as I learned how to write, I had journals from a very young age, I think starting from 7 or 8. I threw a lot of them out when I had graduated from college and moved back home and saw all of them and read some of them. I was embarrassed by some of the things that 8-year-old me was so concerned about, especially when I hit puberty early and I started to get acne. There was a lot of diary entries about, please take away my pimples. And I spelt them like pumples. I could not spell. And so I was like, throw this out. Wish I didn't because that would have been a great book to put together. But now this is the digital journal for me. So I use this podcast. I use my Instagram, especially my stories, as a way to kind of clear my thoughts, especially if I'm sitting on something in my mind and it just keeps coming back to the same thought. I find it easier to get it out than to keep it in. But for others, if that's not for you, journaling is always great. Taking deep breaths. Again, coming back to breathing. There's so many meditation apps, so many meditation tips about how to do breathing exercises. It's great for when you're in the office or at work. I do a lot of sighing, but I realize when I start sighing now, I should probably just stop at that point and do a breathing exercise. It's so easy to look up. Google like 1 minute breathing exercise and just do it right there. Nobody will know the difference, and it probably will bother people less because I think my sighing was really bothering my cubicle mate. She was like, "Ooh, gosh, what's she going through?" And I was like, I'm just trying to just get breath out and really process what I need to do next. And I wasn't doing it in the right way. I think I needed to do it in the breathing in and not just the breathing out, because it was a sigh is breathing out like, ugh. And taking in a deep breath involves an action of pulling in air, holding it, and then letting it out. And so that does take some time and allows your brain to not have to think about different things because you're thinking about the breath. And that is important. Stepping away from what you're doing, from decisions that you have to make. If you can't seem to make up your mind about something, I know for me, putting together this content, this podcast, anything that I put together writing in school was always so bad for me. At work, writing emails, because I get so many emails either from people that are internal at my job or from the 71 schools that I represent or from just the public in general. Because again, I work for the state. So my work email and address and stuff is all public. And anyone that lives in my districts can come and ask me a question or has a question about the stuff that we do. And so that can be a lot during certain times of the year when everyone wants your attention and everything seems like a priority, but they can't all be a priority because there's only one person who can get it done at that time, and it's you, and you can only do one thing at a time. So understanding that sometimes you need to walk away and figure out, what do I do first? What do I really want to do? What is keeping me from making this decision? And I know, like, even for this podcast, figuring out what to call it, I was going back and forth of like, is it figuring out how to rest and reset, or figuring out how to pour back into yourself, or figuring out, but my mind was racing. But when I went in the pool this morning and I was floating on my back and all I did was just breathe and float. And I was like, okay, what is it that we really want to say? Like, maybe just look it up. Like, I use now Google and just look up, like, what is the best way? What kind of things people are looking up? What kind of articles have people already written with those titles? And I go with that. And so I ended up with figuring out how to pour back into yourself because I saw that there was other things that were created by other people that use that title, and it popped up for me. So obviously it would pop up for others and it would resonate. But again, that was for me taking a step back from I need to do this now and figure this out now because I wasn't moving anywhere with it. My brain couldn't move because I couldn't figure it out. So stepping away for a bit and giving your brain some time to think over things. Turn off all your notifications. Now, this is something that was really helpful for me during the pandemic, especially during lockdown. I took all the notifications off: email, text message, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the things that want to tell you something new. I didn't care. I didn't want to see it because it just ding, 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 ding was too much for me. Just overload of all the notifications. And so now I have very few notifications on my phone. I try to limit the notifications on my computer or on anything because it is too much. Because notifications make you think that it's something is urgent, right? That was the whole point of notifications coming up. If you had an emergency and you saw, oh gosh, I got to call this person, or I got a reminder that I need to be somewhere or do something, that's fine. But I don't need to know that my daddy liked one of my pictures on Facebook. I don't need to know that right now. I can go into Facebook and check and see all that stuff. And so I know for me that has worked, but turn off those notifications because it's overloading your brain. That's why the kids are having problems because it's overstimulation of ding, 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 ding. Just stop. Another way of resting your mind is taking pauses again between the things you're doing, not having to rush into everything. So, what I really like, especially when I'm in the office or when I'm working at home, because I have a hybrid schedule, is that my Fitbit will tell me to stand up at the end, at the last 10 minutes of an hour. If it sees that I have not moved, it will give me a reminder to get up and take 250 steps. So that means like walk around your house, go outside and take a walk around the building, do something. Or if I'm in the office, go walk around the floor. But I find that helpful not only as a physical break for my body to remember to move it, but also a great mental break to not think about the thing that I was just doing. A 5-minute walk or a 10-minute walk away from the task I'm doing is not going to impact me getting it done at all that day because it's actually giving me a chance to come back and just be like, okay, now I'm refreshed. I've had some water. I've gone to the bathroom. I've walked. I've done something. Now I can get back to this and see it with fresher eyes and get it done and maybe catch some things that I didn't necessarily want to be in there. So take some pauses between the things that you're doing because running through all your tasks does not help. And that is also something for meetings too. I had to learn because again, during the beginning of the school year and the end of the school year, I have a lot of meetings with schools because I got to figure out how best can I serve them and what kind of technical assistance or support I can provide for them from the state. And so that means a lot of meetings. Sometimes they're 30 minutes each, 60 minutes, 45 minutes, depending on how long they want to meet with me. They can make the appointments. I can reach out, but usually October is super busy for me. And I realized that I hadn't put a mechanism into my booking app that would separate it. So I was having like a 1 to 1:30, a 1:30 to 2, a 2 to 3 o'clock. And if they were late and they ran over, like it's bleeding into each other and I can't get up to use the bathroom or to eat or to get some water. And so I put in that there has to be a 5-minute break between all of my meetings so I can get an actual bio break. And that's a break for my body and for my mind to not be on because in these meetings I have with schools, they're the ones coming to ask me questions or I'm trying to provide them answers or share information with them. And I can't really do that if I'm pulling from a very tired brain or depleted body. Realizing that you need those pause. And if you are in the same position, go into your booking app, especially if you use Microsoft for booking, go in there and make sure that they cannot make back-to-back meetings with you. Put a 5 or 10-minute rest break in there. I'm about to increase mine to 10 minutes because I think I need more than the 5. Another thing that you can do to really help rest your mind and to engage in mental rest is meditation. Again, you can find so many types of meditation. It could be words spoken to you. It could be sounds. It could just you putting on background noise. So for me at night, this is another part of rest and mental rest for me. As I'm trying to get my mind to unwind, to go to bed, I get my Amazon Alexa. I don't want to say the word because she's listening. I get it, my Amazon Echo, that's a better thing, to play ocean sounds at night. And for me, I know when I'm at the beach, when I'm on vacation, when I'm near the water and you're sleeping on a beach chair and you can hear it, it makes me go to sleep. I'm like, that's what I need to hear. I need to hear those sounds of waves. That is a great way also for meditation if you just want to put on some background noise that can be helpful in that process of resting your mind. So let's talk about number 3, emotional rest. That is rest that allows you to feel your feelings without having to perform or hold it all together. So when someone asks you, how are you doing? Not saying okay, but saying, I'm having a shitty day, or I'm here. Life is life, and I'm breathing, or just not saying anything at all. Just being able to feel your feelings. Some of the ways that you can do that is, one, listening to calm or ambient music. So just like I was saying about the ocean sounds, that works for me. If you want to listen to some Sade or Snow Allegra or anybody that's got that slow singing, like low voice, anything calming, just listen to calm music. I did not mean to hit Sade or Allegra. I love their music. I'm just saying, like, that kind of music where it's calming. Put some Lana Del Rey in there. She got that soothing. But put something on to help you calm down, whatever your favorite calming music is. Another one is taking a warm bath or a shower. I don't know how many people are taking baths. I'm not taking a bath in my tub because it's an old tub and it has rust and I really want to get it replaced. So I can do the warm baths, but the warm, hot showers, definitely. When I had that medical emergency with one of my parents, that night when that parent was going through surgery, I had to put myself in the shower because I could not stop crying and I could not rest. My body just could not. Even after the doctor called me and said, yep, everything went well, come in the morning, your parent is in recovery. I needed that hot shower. I turned all the lights off, turned the hot shower on, and just got in there, cried, let the water kind of just run over me. And that was really helpful. And so that's a good way to kind of be able to feel your feelings in a place where no one can see you, cry, scream, curl up in a ball. Just let, rain down on you, like, play some Ashanti. Rain on me. Like, get into that. That's why there's so many videos when they're talking about emotional issues or feelings and, they love you or they miss you or please forgive me or I don't know what to do. And it's always rain. It's always rain in the video. Rain. You can't stop the rain. Can you stand the rain? I'm standing in the rain, crying in the rain. So if you can't do it in the shower, if it's raining one of them days and it's especially the summer, that nice summer warm rain, go outside. Go inside and feel it. I've done it before. I've cried outside. Just walk and cried. Put my sunglasses on, just walk and cry. Just act like I have allergies and I'm sobbing. But also think about sitting outside in stillness. Just be still. Just be calm. As people say, touch grass, ground yourself. For me, my grounding is going to the beach nearby on my morning walks and taking my shoes off, having my feet in the sand, and waiting for the waves to come over my feet and just standing in the sun and just feeling the water and grounding. That's the Cancer in me. That's the water sign in me. The crab has to return back to water. Ground yourself, be still, go outside, be with nature, stand in the sun. I saw Erica Badu recently grounding in a park in Philadelphia. And I was like, yes, that's what I do in the water. I'm like, it's not just for the hippy dippy type, it's for everybody. Go outside and just be. Another thing I would suggest is trying to have some screen free quiet time. Now, I'm really trying to do that more. And I think the best way of doing that is reading more. I love reading, but I have converted over to audiobooks because I used to have really long commutes. And I love that I can do my morning walks and do evening walks and drive to work and do all these long drives that I have to do for my job and listen to a book. But I realize also if I want to do less things on my phone and have less screen time, like actually reading the physical books. I did that recently for a book of a college friend of mine called Blood on the Brain by Esanam Badiako. Go check it out. I had bought the book because she had done a author meets speaker thing through our alumni association, the Columbia Women's Alumni Association. And I couldn't stay for the whole thing, but I did buy the book. So I wanted to support, but I never got a chance to fully read it. I had started it once on vacation, but of course I spent most of my time when I go to the beach in the water. And you can't take a book into the water because you're going to get wet unless you're on a floaty, but I still wouldn't do that. And so I spent a lot of time in the water. And if I'm on the beach itself, I'm probably sleeping or eating. So I didn't get a chance to do that. And when my parent got sick and I was in the hospital with them, I picked up the book because I really couldn't do anything. I couldn't just be on my phone the whole time because I was burning batteries and I was there for a long time. And I wanted something that didn't require me to have to wear headphones because if my parent said something, I wanted to be able to hear and I didn't want to disturb anyone, the nurses and stuff, so I can be alert. So I brought the book and started reading it and really enjoyed it. And then when I finally got a chance to get some time at home and get a break, I was like, let me just continue reading. So Once I finished the book, I realized it decreased my screen time, but I also really just remembered my love for enjoying the written words. I would suggest doing some more reading, having some more screen-free quiet time, doing whatever you need to, listening to music, like anything, just giving yourself a chance just to feel and be. Another type of rest is sensory rest. So this is number 4. This is the type of rest from excessive sensory input like noise, light, and other stimuli that can overwhelm the senses. So again, talking about cell phones, the TVs, the computers, these are all things that I spend a lot of time in front of. Admittedly, I am a big TV fiend. My TV's usually probably always on. If you're ever watching me hula hooping in the background, you probably see my TV is on while the music is on. I think I got this from my father. I feel like it's epigenetics because he does the same thing. Like he passed that down through the genes because my daddy be playing his music and the TV be on at the same time. And I'm like, I seem to do the same thing. And then I'll be on my phone, which is crazy. But I realize that it's hard to pay attention to all 3 things and think and do all those things. And sometimes I do that when I just want to zone out. So there's lots of stuff going on in the world. And if I want just to calm my brain, or if I just came home from work, I'll turn all those things on. My brain will just try to figure out where to focus. So maybe it's on the music, maybe it's on what's on the TV, or maybe it's on my phone. And probably have to rewind or replay or do something. But it doesn't help in terms of sensory rest. It's actually sensory overload. And so some tips on how to get some sensory rest is letting yourself feel without any kind of judgment. Emotional rest. I mean, letting yourself feel without judgment. When people ask you how you're doing, just tell them the truth. Let it out. For me, I usually end up going on my Instagram and just letting out. And some folks are like, woof, girl, what you going through? And trust me, most of the time, I am not giving you the full thing. Like, I don't come on IG crying because, trust me, I do a lot of crying. I can't say I cry, cry, cry. Cry watching TV. I cry thinking about my granny. I cry thinking about my friends. I cry thinking about my mama. I cry thinking about the future. Just cry, right? So cry because I'm upset, cry because I'm angry. Get it. I cry. So being able to really just let yourself feel those things, talking to someone you trust. For me, I am very blessed and very appreciative of the fact that I have such great friends. I have a great network of friends and family, especially female friends. And I'm gonna, again, I need to let this go, but I had a former friend that told me that I didn't know how to make relationships with females or with women. I had to curse that person out on that because out of all the things that I feel like you can say about me, can bounce off, whatever, telling me that I don't know how to make friendships or to sustain friendships with other women because I had a problem with your female significant other. When I have had the same best friend since high school, right? Shout out to Aisha. We have been best friends since junior, senior year of high school. We've been friends for a very long time, just in general. I've known her since we were in the single digits when we went to camp together. And so that's a long time to be friends with one woman. And then when I went to college, I picked up another best friend in college. And I still am really good sister friends with my good sister friends, Tania and Karen and Abra. I'm going to shout them all out. I spent a lot of time pouring into them and they pour into me. And we have been supporting each other since we were preteens. And so I take it very strongly about the idea of having such great friends. When I was going through the burnout, the first one in May of 2022, and all the things that led up to it, the stress at that job at the time, I was leaning in heavy on my friends, okay? That was where I don't think I was giving as much as I was taking because I was going through so much. I needed someone to be rational and tell me I wasn't crazy. I wasn't being overly emotional. I wasn't wrong in this situation. And when I was wrong or something could have been done better, they told me, right? But in most of those cases, they're like, you're not tripping. This is the environment. This is the job. This is the leadership. And so even when you're feeling like you're a failure in this because you just couldn't seem to work this out at this place, that it's okay to be angry and to be sad and to deal with all those emotions. But we're here to support you and to provide you with whatever advice, legal advice, like financial advice, emotional advice, just all kinds of support, especially when my parent was in the hospital for that short period of time, leaning in on those friends for the few that I did tell at the time and for those who I told after when my parent was in recovery. I really, really appreciated it. And I know that it was okay for me to break down crying because, again, these women have known me and these people have known me for a long time. Let me not say that I don't have great male friends in my life, too. They're just not as prominent in my life as my female friends, but I do love my brother friends too, trust me. Okay. I appreciate you for showing up for me and always looking out and being protective of me. But I would also suggest practicing some self-compassion to give yourself grace, to speak positive words and positivity into yourself. For me, the way I do that is through affirmations. I have 3 sets of affirmation cards. I pull them with differing frequencies depending on where they're located. So I have a set that's located in my bedroom that I will pick up every once in a while, maybe in the morning before I go to work or have to go out into the field just to pour into myself. I have a set of cards that I pull every Monday. I pull 3 cards, and those usually I use them as ways to remind myself. I put those cards at the front of my house so that before I leave, I can remember what the universe is trying to tell me because I shuffle the cards and see what it has me pull. And sometimes I end up pulling the same cards, and sometimes I end up pulling cards I haven't seen in a long time. So recently I've been pulling cards I haven't seen in a long time, like I'm creative, I'm passionate, I'm healthy, I'm strong. And some of those other ones, it was like I'm love, like I'm remembering to self love myself. So I pull those at the beginning of the week and I pull 3 of them because 3 is my favorite number. And I feel like 3 is also the completion of a circle. And then I have a new set of affirmation cards that I got from my favorite artist, Pink Lomaine. I bought it, like pre-ordered it before I even took a breath to think. I was like, girl, did you need to pre-order these cards? And the answer was yes. I love these cards because it has her art on it. And if you know Pink Lomaine's art, most of her art has written either into because she does a lot of portraits of women and men, Black women and Black men and Black children, but she usually puts in the hair or in the clothing words of affirmation. And so I love having these cards now, and I'm pulling those daily as needed. In this case, I put all the cards that I pull for that up on my memory board that's above my work desk so that when I am working or in a meeting and I look up, because that's where I take all my meetings if I'm home, I can see these words of affirmation pouring into me. I find that extremely helpful. You don't have to have as many sets as I do, but I highly suggest getting affirmation cards or just finding an affirmation that works for you. Before I leave the house, I always say affirmations that I already came up for myself. So the verbal affirmations I say before I leave the house is today's going to be a good day. My helper's going to find me. I'm going to get done what I need to get done. I'm going to get to my destination safely and on time. And shout out, like, listen to the on time part because I don't mean like on the time that is listed that I needed to be there. I mean the on time as in like the time I'm supposed to be there. So that includes tardiness, because getting there 5 minutes after started is when I was supposed to be there. I will get to my destination safely and on time, and I will be productive. I will listen for understanding, speak clearly, be solutions minded, and that I am open to the universe showing me how good life can get, and I am worthy of the joy, love, and abundance and experiences that I want. And then I'll add on other things that I feel, but that is every single day. I will say that. So pouring into myself because I know I can have some negative thoughts, negative recurring thoughts that I have a really hard time of shutting them down. So moving on to the next type of rest. So, creative rest. That is rest that allows you to refuel your inspiration and give your imagination time to breathe. So, if you're someone who is a content creator like I am, you have a podcast, you are a graphics designer, you are a blogger, you're a vlogger, you're an influencer, and you find that in order for you to continue to maintain your algorithm and continue to grow your audience and pay your bills, if this is what you do full time, that you have to create, and it has to be intentional and it has to hit an audience and it has to hit those numbers. It's exhausting. And I know for me, I took a huge creative rest this year. I think it's February and March. I don't think I posted anything. I just didn't have it. I posted in my stories, but I didn't post not a thing. And now I've been posting a lot not because I've been creating more content than normal, but because I have been feeling more confident and I've had more time and energy to actually go through the things I record and I take pictures of and create it into content. Because even though I was in this hiatus, I was still writing down podcast ideas, bookmarking things, putting things aside. I was still taking pictures and screenshotting and doing all these things because my brain didn't turn that part of it didn't turn off. I just didn't have it in me. And there was a lot of perfectionism stopping me from doing things. And so a good way to do creative rest, which worked for me and I did a lot of, is coloring. I've actually also taken up painting by numbers. And so I really like the paint by number kits by Domo Ink. Again, they're not paying me, but I love their paint by numbers. I have 3 of them now. I finished a 3rd one most recently, and I think I'm gonna buy a 4th one for July just so that I have it to do when I have some more downtime, because the summer months have a lot more downtime in terms of my work, but then also it be so hot outside that I'm most likely gonna be inside. I like the hot weather. I'm a summer baby, but I don't like to fry. And when they say it's a heat advisory, Toya T keeps her behind in the house with her AC and now her very powerful fan. I got a smart tower fan and it's the best thing ever because I can tell it. I could tell my little friend here that's name starts with an A and ends with an A, I can tell her to turn it on and off. And I can even control it from like anywhere because it has an app, but love it. But taking time to rest from being creative. So doodle, color, paint by numbers, paint. Try to explore different creative spaces. So go to galleries, art galleries, bookstores. I personally just like walking around. I get a lot of inspiration from walking around nature. I get a lot of inspiration from just scrolling on Instagram. I know I say take a sensory break. And I'm like, go ahead and pick up that your phone and start scrolling. But for me, like when I do mindless scrolling, like it's really just me looking for kind of inspiration. And sometimes I'll go through things that I've already bookmarked and kind of just scroll through them, just looking for inspiration, but not really forcing it. Also, just give yourself time to just let your mind daydream. What do you want to do? What are you thinking about? For me, I don't think I daydream as much. I think I dream as much because I love me some sleeping. Get me a nice little nap dream, little deep REM dream at night. Give yourself time, a chance to just think outside of the box. What do you want? Envision a life that you want, an experience that you want without really the pressure of having to create it or put it into action. Start reading. For me, it was a good sensory rest for me to read, but it's also a great way to inspire. For me, if I'm looking for inspiration, I end up reading more magazines. So I absolutely love HGTV magazine and anything like Home and Garden, anything that has to do with organization, home stuff. Like since I bought my condo, even before that, but really since I bought my condo, I really love these home improvement DIY magazines. And they're super expensive. If you ever try to buy those things from CVS or Walgreens, like if you look at the price, it's like $11, $15. Like, good gosh. But I usually do that if I'm traveling, I'll pick up one of those. I know that I can also access them from my local library. So I usually will borrow them digitally from my library and have it on my phone and kind of look at it that way. I'm probably going to get an iPad or something or a tablet so that I can look at these things a lot larger because I realize as a part of this creative process, I need to invest more in my creative tools. I'm working with an iPhone 13 mini, which is not going anywhere. I'm not going to switch that up to be creating content because I can create content just fine with it, but I do need to upgrade my computer. So my computer and maybe a tablet because I used to have both of them when I was really, really creative. Definitely suggest taking some time to look for inspiration in other places, watch things, read things. I watch a lot of random documentaries. They give me ideas about life from nature. Like I've watched things about people putting together planetariums, terrariums, indoor, really fascinating. People who are doing beekeeping, people who do things like who are amateur zoology or like have their own home zoos and stuff, which is not great. Like I learned a lot about animal abuse from watching those things, but YouTube is where I'd be watching all kinds of stuff. And I started watching that Nature Boy documentary on YouTube, but I would not suggest this on the rest in this episode because if you start watching that, it's like 40 something episodes, you're not getting any rest and it just builds on each other. I stopped at episode 21, but before I did that, I was staying up all night watching it. So don't, but it gave me a lot of ideas about like figuring out how to self-love yourself because a lot of the women on there, I was like, you don't love yourself. And the men didn't love themselves either. So I was like, self-love, self-care, figuring out how to balance, figuring out how to avoid cultists. That might be an episode. But figuring out how not to join a cult, how to identify one, how not to be a cult leader. No, stop being crazy. But yeah, I learned a lot of things from watching these things. And I think, it's helpful. Another type of rest is social rest. And that is rest from draining interactions or environments. For me, that's work. And it's probably for you too. For some people, it's probably your children or your partner or your social organization or anything, but needing a break from just draining interactions or environments and seeking connection that fills your cup from people who are taking. And again, I know for some of my family and my friends who have children who I love dearly, and I hope to have children myself, but for right now, I'm very thankful for when I do see the kids say, "Mommy, mommy, daddy, daddy," or they start throwing a tantrum, and I'm like, I can just give them back or walk over here and let you handle that because I'm getting a lot of rest and a lot of peace of mind knowing that I don't have to deal with that, but I still do need to deal with family members. And so I've also realized how to deal with some of those things. Again, shout out to my mom. I love you. But when you start saying things like, so when you gonna find a man? You just sitting around, when you gonna have like when you start making jokes like that or start talking about like you look cute, but you gotta work on that belly. And I say, bye. That is my way of finding rest, of removing myself. And so, for those who are looking for ways to recharge from social exhaustion, I would suggest finding some time alone to recharge. I know for my dear friends and family who are parents of young children or teenage children, I know for the young kids that maybe the bathroom is not a great place to find that space alone. I'm sure there is some place, maybe a car, maybe out in a park, or maybe you do like my cousin and you leave your child at home with your husband and you go have dinner with yourself and treat yourself to dinner and a drink. Shout out to Samara. I respect you for that. I love your daughter so dearly, but I understand when you need a break. And don't worry, her husband gets a break too, but I'm more partial to my blood cousin. So I understand it. Take a rest, take a break, find a time to recharge by yourself. Spend time with people that energize you. For me, again, shout out to my cousin Samira, but I be going over to her house to recharge with her daughter Elira, my little 4-year-old bestie, who was my 3-year-old bestie and my 2-year-old bestie. I recharged with her. After the 2024 election, I went over to go get some TLC from my 3-year-old bestie at the time. And I let her imagination go wild, and she probably really likes me a lot because I love doing imaginary play with her because it gives my brain a chance to rest and to think about different things. Like, sometimes we'll sit here and make songs up, and I think she really likes that too, and she started making up her own songs, and I love that she identifies that as an activity that we can do together and that she likes doing with me, but that's really just what I do on my own. Like, I'll be in my house just dropping bars, you know? Peanut butter but no jam up in this house, you know? I'm done for the day, done for the day. Don't call my way, don't come my way, just making songs, that's my bestie. She a real smart girl, you know her ABCs. She gonna rule the world. Don't take that. Those are all my songs, but give yourself some time to rest or find people who pour into you. And I love being able to go hang out with her and go hang out with my older besties, as she likes to call them, and getting a chance to reconnect, especially my core female sister friends. I love just meeting up and being able to catch up no matter how much time has gone between the last time we spoke or saw each other, that we can just pick up and catch up and laugh and cry and give each other advice and really help each other walk through this thing that we call life and figure things out easier by sharing with each other what we've learned from our own experiences. So definitely suggest that you find the people that you enjoy being around that provide you with energy. Try calling or texting those people too, people that you feel safe being able to just be who you are with them. And again, for me, I'm very blessed that I have so many outlets. I talk to my mom a lot. I make jokes about how she annoys me and how I have to hang up the phone when she says something that makes me upset or mad. I love talking to my mom. I talk to my mom all the time. I talk to her multiple times a day. I actually have to sit there and wait for her to wake up. I'm actually recording this podcast right now, waiting for her to wake up because she's retired. My mom don't wake up until after 11, 12 o'clock, depending on if she has something to do that day. And she has every right to do that because she worked for a long time and didn't sleep a lot. And so I encourage her to be getting that rest. But I do talk to her a lot and I can talk about anything, even though I've learned not to talk about work with her because she don't give up. Because she don't work no more. She's retired. You can't make her. She don't want to because she's retired. But when I'm looking for, I don't know, someone to big me up, to laugh at my jokes and to tell me I'm amazing and wonderful and I can do anything I want and I'm going to meet, I'm going to meet somebody strong and brilliant and that, fulfills me as I fulfill others. That's my dad. He is my cheerleader. My mom calls it fake. I don't call it fake at all. I call it what his function is. He is the man in my life, the first man in my life that is telling me that, hey, Latoya, you're amazing. You're beautiful. You're strong. You're smart. And I love you. And I'm going to do for you without asking or expecting anything from. And I did not have that kind of understanding before, but I gained that more from the more that I talk to my dad, and I did not talk to him like this when I was a teenager. I probably should have. It would have been I would have made some very, very different decisions, but it happened when it happened, and I appreciate the relationship we have developed in my adult life and recognizing how similar we are because my dad is a Leo and I'm a Leo moon. And so there are some things that we do have in common in terms of being passionate about the things that we do and not wanting to do work that feels like work, but things that feel like our passion, so it makes it easier to do. And also boasting and bragging and being a proud lion. But I call him for that and for everything else that I cannot talk to my parents about. I talk to my friends, my sister friends that I've already mentioned, and other people, some of my brother friends that shout out to Jamoki. I used to call him all the time about relationships, but my brother got 2 kids and a wife now, and he still got time for me, but not as much time because I want him to pour all that energy into his daughter. But he's always there when I need him. So I do want to shout some of my male friends out. So shout out to you. But find those people that you can pour into you and that provide you with a safe space. And also build healthy boundaries. So like again, when I say, okay, bye now to my mom, she laughs, but she understands, like, I gotta get off the phone because you're saying something that's about to raise my blood pressure, and I don't want to have to talk back because at the end of the day, we're adults, but I'm still your daughter and I'm trying to be respectful. But I talk to my mom enough that, we are friendly. We are friendly, but we are not friends because she is my mother. But still, set up healthy boundaries with everybody. I used to do that with my students, tell them, like, when you can and cannot contact me, what you can and cannot ask me about. And also the same thing with others. Like my friend Tania knows when I'm ready to get off the phone, I'll just say it. I'll just be like, okay, I gotta go. Bye. Oh, girl, I'm about to get off the phone right now. And she'd be like, damn, that's abrupt. But she understands. Like I get that from my mom and my dad. They just be like, okay, bye. My dad sometimes won't even say bye. He just hang up. Click. But set healthy boundaries so that you can reset socially. And the last one, number 7, is spiritual rest. This is the rest that connects you to the purpose, meaning, or something bigger than yourself. If that is a higher power, if that is your values, if that is your tenets and beliefs. But being able to get spiritual rest looks like just being able to sit quiet in reflection. That might be praying for you. That might be meditation. That might be reading your Bible. That might be breath work. For me, it's particularly making sure I'm connecting to my values and what I find as important, connecting to the universe and to nature. It can also look as giving back, volunteering, spending time with members of your family that you may not see as often or who might be aging or sick or just people that you just want to be around because you haven't been around them for a while. I know for me, sometimes I realize that I rush in and out of my dad's house, and every time I do, it's because I'm trying to go to 3 different places at the same time. When I go down to where my dad and my mom live, that's also where my little 4-year-old bestie lives. So I'm trying to get all 3 of them in at the same time, and it could feel like it's rushed, right? So I sometimes will try to make it separate. And I know for this summer, my little 4-year-old bestie will be spending her summer away in Dominica. And I'm like, I'm happy for her. I hope she enjoys that experience. But that also means that now when I go down to the South Shore, I really will be visiting my parents if they're around. So finding ways to spend time with folks and spend time with yourself, be one with yourself. And so with that, I hope you find that helpful. And we're going to move into the next section, which is figure this out. And since we are talking about rest, I want you to figure this out for me. Why is no one giving Peepaw Monsieur Trump? Shout out to one of my students from Boston International. A few years ago, he used to refer to him as Monsieur Trump. Why is nobody giving Peepaw a pillow or a little sleeping bag in the corner of the Oval Office so he can take his naps? Why is he taking his naps during work? I was saying that we need to get to a place where we can take naps during the workday to replenish ourselves like they do in Scandinavian countries and some Asian countries, and understand the idea of rest and how it can be beneficial to your workers in terms of productivity, right? But this president who seems to want to get a lot of rest, but not at night, and brags about how he does not sleep. And when this was brought up to his Secretary of Defense at a hearing, they were asking him questions like, have you not noticed that the president has been falling asleep while you were talking in the room during press, like on camera? And he said no. And they showed him videos of it and he still said no. And in some of those cases, it does look like he was kind of like taking that long blink, like, when you rest in your eyes in class or somewhere and you really just like, oh my God, these people stop talking, but you open your eyes a little bit, but you just wanted them to close them because you just didn't want to focus your eyes on anything. Sometimes it kind of looked like that, like, oh, he was just thinking, he was just resting his eyes, having a moment. But recently, just recently, they showed a video where he was on the full gangster lean, the gangster sit up. I'm about to fall over. If you push me in the other direction, my head might hit the table in front of me kind of sleep with the eyes fully closed for at least 10, 20 seconds while people were talking. I'm surprised he didn't snore. He's lucky he doesn't snore because I'm waiting for that. I'm really waiting for the head to hit the table fully. But why will they not give Grandpa a break? Why will they not impeach Grandpa? Why don't they take Peepaw, Monsieur Trump, out of the office that he obviously does not want to be in because he really wants to take a nap, and let Peepaw go back to Mar-a-Lago and go nap on a freaking hammock, and he can just not be president no more. And while he's at it, he can take freaking J.D. Vance. But I really want someone to figure out for me why they won't give him a pillow. Why hasn't that guy given him a My Pillow? Where's the My Pillow guy? Mike Lind, where are you at, boy? You need to give him a pillow. Why aren't you ain't offering no pillow? And with that, I am done today, okay? I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please share this episode wherever you feel like sharing it, on Instagram or Facebook. You want to send it over to your friends. I really appreciate it. I hope wherever you are, whatever time it is, that you have a wonderful, blessed day, blessed night, blessed time. You just be blessed. And with that, I will talk to you later. Talk to you later. Oh, okay. Okay. Bye, y'all.